So I'm like running hard, and there are other people outside, and I failed, like failed, like, and
What kind of fall was this? Was this like a you fell back and fell on your back kind of fall? Because that's usually how
like
you fall
a
in the snow.
forward slip, like almost like a yeah, like it reminded me of like a roller skating kind of fall, like you kind of slip and try to catch yourself, but
Man,
got it together quick because like you don't want to stay there because then like people,
no. Get,
yeah.
and don't just keep walking. Just act
Yeah,
like nothing happened. Just
kind of you brush it off, keep it moving.
Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Black Student Success Podcast brought to you by Inquire Higher. I am your host today, Ashley Quire, and as always, thank you for joining us. Today we have a very special guest. We have Tyler Hendon. He has a bachelor's degree in journalism along with a concentration in media marketing from Michigan State University, as well as a couple of certifications, one being from Emory University. So welcome, Tyler.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much for being here. You are an author, a business consultant, and HR pro.
Yes.
You're busy.
Yeah. I think
That's
everybody
awesome.
days, right? Like,
Yeah, nowadays people have backgrounds, like multi-careers, right?
yeah, everybody's got like some type of side hustle or extra thing they're doing to just figure out, what more they can do outside of just work, or at least that's a lot of what I'm saying. So
yeah, I'm seeing that for sure. Yeah, with millennials especially.
yeah,
Right. Yeah.
absolutely.
So this is just a testimony that you don't have to do one thing in your career, right? You can have multiple areas that you can specialize in, and we're going to dive a little bit more into your HR and consulting work for this episode. Why Tyler is so awesome is because this is a two-part episode. We're going to go into his HR career. And for the second part with Selvin, he's going to dive deeper into his book that he's writing and that will be released really soon in November.
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm going to have you go ahead and introduce yourself. This is your moment to brag, boast, all that stuff. We ask everyone this question first.
Yes.
Tyler, who are you? How would you describe yourself?
Yeah. So how would I describe myself? I would say I'm a very, very dedicated Detroit hustler. And by that, I mean, I try to do multiple things at once, and I try to really keep myself open to new ideas and new things I can do that are essentially going to help me be successful. So I have my degree in journalism. So I was always a pretty good writer, which I know we'll talk about the book a little bit later. But I have got my degree in journalism and a specialization in media marketing from Michigan State University. And not long after finishing school, I started working for Amazon as a senior HR assistant. And so I worked for them for about 4 years or so. And I was eventually promoted to HR business partner. And during my tenure at Amazon, I had a lot of fun there and I learned a lot. But I also had kind of that feeling like, I wonder if there's more I could do outside of work to just, I don't know, expand my horizons, meet new people, and just really get a good feel for like, what are some other things I can do with my talent and time? And so that's ultimately what led to me being a consultant and what led to me starting my own company as a business consultant. So I started Hendon Consulting Services around the end of 2018. And so that's been like my primary like side hustle. And I think I talked about, trying to have that hustle a little bit. That's been kind of one of the main things I'm working on. So I have my HR career, which I think has helped me a lot. And I'm still in HR now. I have my own consulting business. And then on top of that, I'm now going to be a published author soon enough.
You are a very accomplished individual. Kudos to you. Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, it takes a lot like social media, right? We're only getting the successful part, right? Let's take it a step back a little bit and see what you had to do to get there. Did you have to overcome any obstacles to get to, where you are today?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Like, so when I finished school, I really didn't know what I was gonna do at all. And some people do know what they are gonna do when they finish, but I didn't. So got my bachelor's, and then I ended up interning out in DC for a while. And that was a really great experience. And while I was out in DC, I was like applying for jobs, and really trying to figure it out. But nothing really worked out. And I ended up, moving back home with my mom, and kind of trying to find my way and saying, okay, what am I going to do? How am I going to, get this thing done? So that was really challenging for me. But ultimately, the opportunity came up for me to work for Amazon. And that really worked out because it led to me moving to Louisville, Kentucky. So I had to kind of take a chance. I had to take a risk because I had never, been in Louisville before. I didn't know anyone there. But I said, you know what, for me to get somewhere in life, sometimes you have to be a little bit uncomfortable. So that was definitely a big challenge. And then I would say, in terms of consulting and starting my own business, it was tough, but a good kind of tough in the beginning because I had to learn how to interact with people in a way that I haven't in the past. I had to learn to look at data in a way that I haven't in the past. And I had to make like relationships and build connections. And I'm someone that's naturally a little bit more like shy, more to myself. But when you start a business, you can't just be to yourself and be quiet and say, hey, I just have to, yeah, that doesn't work. Like you have to be outgoing, and you have to meet people, and you have to be willing to talk about what you're doing. So that was a really big change for me, but also something that was good. And I'll say probably the last big challenge business wise is, initially as a consultant, I did stuff for free. So and I know, there are people that will tell you, never give away your time for free. And I definitely understand that. But at least my thinking in the early one was like, you know what, maybe I do a few things for free. And then I kind of use that as like, I'm interning for myself. Like I'm just kind of trying to get my feet wet, trying to meet people. And then ultimately, once I've gained enough experience, I can say, okay, now I understand how to apply what I know to this situation. So now I can begin charging people to work with me. So I've went through some unique challenges and unique phases, but so far, so good.
Wow, I like how you like laid everything out there. People like to give like a little obstacle or, something. And then I also love that you learned from each obstacle. And you didn't look at it as like a failure, right? I also love that you pushed yourself to be independent and move to a city and state that you've never been to and you didn't know anyone there. No, that's amazing. As far as business, I agree with you 100%. You have to be outgoing. As soon as it's tough for introverts. I am an introvert 1000%. And you have to push yourself. You do. But once you start to see the reward, it's so worth your time and energy and effort. As far as starting a business, make sure that you network with other people, starting off that may be introverts as well. And you guys could, kind of feed off of each other and things like that. So, wow, you've come a long way and you're doing a lot. So I guess you've already kind of gone over this a little bit as far as what you've learned, but what's one piece of advice you would give to your former self or your younger self?
That's a great question. If I could give myself one thing, I'd probably tell myself to trust myself, number one, like trust that what you're trying to do is the right thing. And then two, I'd say, give myself some grace to fail, right? I think that's something I've never been good at. Like, I know some people can say like, oh, I did this thing, it didn't work out, but whatever. But I've always been kind of like hard on myself, like, oh, you should have done this or you should have done that. So I would say maybe give myself a little bit of grace because when you are, starting a business or you are going on a new journey, there are going to be things that don't go the way you think they're going to go. you're going to go through some transitions, you're going to go through some losses, things are going to happen that you didn't expect. So I would say I probably would have told myself, like, this may not go exactly how you think it's going to go, but it's all going to be worth it in the long run because of what you're going to get out of it. So probably those two things. I think the trust piece is good. Like, trust that this is right. And then two, giving myself that grace, that space to say, you know what, failure can't happen.
Yeah, no, definitely give yourself that grace. It is hard when you're in the moment and you fail. It's tough, and especially if you're an entrepreneur, this is like your baby, right? And if something goes wrong, you're like, oh, I put all my eggs into this basket and I wasted all this time. But trust your gut. Maybe it didn't go the way that it was supposed to go for a reason, and things make sense after, right? While you're in it, you're like, man, this is this ain't it. This wasn't what was supposed to happen. But yeah, trust your gut. Keep going, especially if you believe in it. And, I'm a believer in God, and I just feel like everyone has their path and their calling. And if it's something that you feel is right, keep going with it. Keep going. So Thank you. I really hope people learn from that. That's awesome. All right. So let's get into your HR world. Mm-hmm. HR still is intimidating to me as it is to a lot of people. Even talking to you right now, I'm like, let me make sure I say the right thing. Yeah. Tell us, what skills do you have to be good at in order to, succeed in this line of work?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I'd say the first thing that someone needs to know going into an HR career is understand that you are there to represent and in some ways protect the business. This is something that I didn't always fully understand because there were times where I saw employees go through certain circumstances, and I've always been someone that's kind of like naturally like pro-employee, like, help this person, do this for that, do this for them, do that for them.
Wow, you are a rare breed. Sorry.
It's funny though, because ultimately, the company pays you. If we're just talking strictly business, you have to think about it, or at least I think about it this way. Like, the company pays you to ensure that you're following, or that whatever piece of the business you're running is following certain standards and guidelines and meeting certain expectations. So I would say first, I would tell that person, understand that you do, represent a business, and that most people that have a fruitful and long HR career are people that, are aligning with that belief that, hey, I am here to represent the business, but I do have the ability to help and to give back to employees, because that's ultimately something that might come naturally to that person, like if you're someone like me. So I would say that's a piece of it. Two, I also think it's important to understand the business you're working for, because it can be kind of easy for an HR person to fall into just their HR sphere of thinking. So, these are the things that I handle. This is my little bubble. But the HR people that I know that are really good and that have a lot of success, they work to understand like the actual business. So they may not be like like if we're talking like a company like Amazon, they have like, general managers and operations managers, right? People that are running these huge fulfillment centers and facilities. So the HR person, you're not necessarily like a operations manager or, a general manager, but you do, if you really want to be great, you do need to understand some of the things that they understand, so that when you're interacting with them and you're helping their employees, you're not just totally out of the loop in terms of what's happening in the business. So I would say that's important too. And three, I'd say education always helps. Like, people all the time get different certifications. Like, you'll see people get SHRM certifications and take HR classes. Like, all that stuff is really good. I've taken some really good HR classes. I was an HR intern during I want to say my last year at Michigan State. And all of that kind of helped me in that transition, because I didn't go into the situation completely blind. So I think education can really help as well. And let me see, if I could pick one more thing that I think is important for someone to know into an HR career, I would say probably the ability to understand like rules, policies, and laws, things of that nature, because you want to be able to understand, like I'm in the state of Georgia, right? So I need to be able to understand what are Georgia's laws on like employees taking breaks? What are Georgia's laws on if an employee wants to go vote? You know, like how do those things apply to the business? And how do I as an HR person ensure that the company is in line with those standards so that we're not like breaking any laws or mistreating anyone or doing anything wrong. So yeah, I think that's probably the four I would pick.
Wow, thank you. That you're just giving out gold here. Thank you for all of that information. Yeah, again, I'm not trying to say the wrong thing, so we're going to move on to the next question. But no, it's really great information, and yeah, education is key. I love that point. I don't think a lot of people, I'm choosing my words carefully, I don't think a lot of people think to go that route, to go that far, to learn the laws of the state that you live in. So that's amazing that you're doing that and taking yourself a step forward. I think another reason why you're successful in your line of work is because you're always looking for ways to improve yourself. So that you can, be better in your career and help the company that you're working for be that much more successful. And I think that's amazing. That's awesome. All right, Tyler, we asked this question to everyone. We would not be called the Black Student Success Podcast if we didn't ask this question. How do you describe success? I know it looks different from everyone depending on your upbringing, your goals, all of that. How do you describe success?
Yeah, great question. I would describe success as truly doing your best at whatever it is that you decide you're going to put your mind to. Because I think that success is really different for everyone, and that sometimes it feels different than you think it's going to feel when you actually get there. That's been my experience. Like, I remember, when I was like 26 and I was working for Amazon and I was making really good money, and it didn't, it was fun. Like, as a young guy and I had money in my pocket and stuff like that. Like, it was fun, but it wasn't like, it wasn't what I thought it was going to be in terms of how I felt on the inside. It wasn't like I was like, oh my God, this is just the most amazing thing ever. But I do remember, though, on the opposite end, I remember when I started my business, and I remember the first time someone paid me to work with them, and it was like $50, and I still, remember that cash app of someone giving me $50, to say, hey, thanks, you helped me with this thing. And it's like, and if you put them in perspective, $50 compared to over six figures, that's not even close, right? But the way I felt on the inside was a lot different, because it's like, I really earned this $50, I did it off of my own brain. It wasn't in someone else's system or someone else's platform they set up for me. Like, no, I did it on my own. So like, success is really weird like that. So I really think it's about doing, your best at what it is that you think you're supposed to do. And then, from that point, you can call yourself successful to me. And then, go from wherever you want to take that and then segue that into the next thing. But success can vary, but I really believe it's all about applying yourself.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I agree 100%. Applying yourself, and as you said, it's different. It is different for everyone. I love how you're really excited about that $50 though. You're like, I went out on my own and I did this. This was like my thing that I created, and I'm seeing it come to light. And I made my first payment. I remember taking a screenshot for, for our first payment for Inquire. I remember that via PayPal. I remember that. And no, it's a very gratifying feeling, but the feeling of wanting more and ready to achieve the next thing, I feel like you said, success is a more of a fluid thing. It's not an end all, it's not a specific point in life. It's continuing to improve on yourself. So awesome.
Absolutely.
Awesome. All right, we're switching gears here. Time for the fun questions. I love these questions. This is what I wait for. I'm just like, these stories are great, but these fun questions are great because we've gotten some really good answers, and I'm curious to hear what has happened to you in your past to make us all feel a little bit better about ourselves in that moment, right? That's why everyone listens to this part. All right, so let us know what's one embarrassing thing that happened to you in school.
Embarrassing thing. So, okay. So, I went to, obviously, Michigan State University, East Lansing, Michigan. It snows a lot in the winter. It's cold, snowy. And I'll probably say the most embarrassing thing is I remember in the middle of the winter, like running for the bus.
Oh, like, don't run in the snow.
Yeah, you don't run in the snow. It was one of those things where, like, I remember it was a math class too, and I've always been like someone that wasn't. I've always struggled with math, so I'm like, I can't miss this class. Like, if anybody needs to be in this class, it's you. So I'm like running hard, and there are other people outside, and I failed. Like, and
what kind of fall was this? Was this like a you fell back and fell on your back kind of fall? Because that's usually how you fall in the snow.
Forward slip, like almost like a like it reminded me of like a roller skating kind of fall. Like you kind of slip and try to catch yourself, but
man,
got it together quick because like you don't want to stay there because then
no,
yeah.
And don't just keep walking. Just act like nothing happened. Just
kind of you brush it off, keep it moving.
For you. Now tell me, you're from Georgia, right?
No,
You're from where?
Detroit.
You're from Detroit, right? You did say that. You should have known not to run in the snow.
Look, we all make mistakes. That was a bad fall. I don't know if I've even fallen since then.
You've been real careful after that one, I'm sure.
Yeah, like
no, it traumatized you. Oh man, I'm so sorry. That's horrible. That's a horrible way to go out, and especially for a class that you didn't like necessarily. Oof, I'd be mad. All right. Well, I'm sorry. I'm happy you've recovered, and you're in Georgia now, so you're good. You can run wherever you want to now. You're good.
I'm telling you, any season, you can just run your heart out.
You're good. All right. So tell us, what's one rite of passage that you think all students should go through? We've had some really funny ones, just like losing your keys, being broke. We go through it. This is just to make other people feel better, and to prepare students for what could happen when you get there. So please share.
Okay, one rite of passage, I would say taking a really early class that you do not want to take. Like those, like, I don't know if they were like 7 a.m. or 8 a.m. I want to say 8 a.m. Maybe even earlier, like 7:30-ish. Like that was just awful for me. And it's weird now because like you get up at those times for work to go to, job, whatever. But at the time in school, it was just like, why am I doing this to myself?
Right.
Like I have this extremely early class. Like I would say that's the one I would pick. Like everybody needs to take an early class, get it out of the way, put yourself through it. It's part of being a college kid.
It's painful. It is painful. I remember mine. It was chem, intro to chem or something like chemistry 101. Ugh, why? Yeah. Why would you do that at 8 a.m. on a Monday? Come on. But you should do it. You should do it because when you do start working full-time, you will be getting up that early and having to not run to the bus or to the class. Don't do that. Don't do any running. just miss it. You'll be good.
Not run, catch the next bus.
You wait, what? What did you say?
Catch the next bus.
Yes, catch the next bus. I thought you said you ran to the next bus. I don't know how the public system, the public transit system is there, but like here, people will literally, if they miss their bus, they will literally run to the next stop. I'm like, no, just wait. You weren't supposed to make the bus. Just wait.
Be on that bus.
Oh man. Well, thank you so much for stopping by and sharing your story and all of the powerful information. And make sure everyone, you stay tuned for part 2 of this episode where he will dive more into his book. Did you want to give us a little snippet of what your book is about?
Sure. So my book is titled Mirage, The Truth About Social Media. And it revolves around social media culture and how today's social media impacts the way we think, feel, and behave. So I spent a lot of time doing the research, learning the information, and thinking through, what I really wanted to say and how my opinion is in line with what's actually true, right? So I had to kind of stress test my opinion. But I've really learned some really, really cool stuff. Some stuff I can prove too. So I'm really excited to share with people.
I'm excited about the book. We got a little snippet, and yes, you guys need to get this book. I cannot wait to purchase it. Can I pre-order? Can we pre-order the book?
Yes, pre-order will be available.
Oh, we are pre-ordering this book. I cannot wait to read it. Thank you so much for joining us, Tyler. As a reminder, you guys can catch us on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 7 p.m. Visit us at inquirehigher.com. And until next time, thank you so much, Tyler.
Thank you for having me.
All right, bye, guys.